Sometimes the biggest stories come from the most unexpected places. Today, we're talking about a fascinating link between green energy and precious metals. It all kicks off with a really surprising problem that's forcing a complete rethink of how the world's solar panels are made.
So what's going on here? The very technology that we're all counting on for a cleaner future is being redesigned right before our eyes. And you have to ask, why? What on earth could be so powerful that it's making the biggest manufacturers in the world change the fundamental design of their solar panels?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but boy, are the implications massive. It all comes down to one thing: silver. That's right, the same precious metal you find in jewelry is at the very center of this huge industrial shift. And the story of how and why, well, it tells us a whole lot about our global economy.
All right, let's get right to the heart of the matter, what we're calling solar's surprising silver problem. It's really a classic tale of supply and demand and the incredible pressure that high prices can put on an entire industry.
So here's what's happening. The biggest players in the solar game, especially out of China, are scrambling to basically engineer silver out of their panels. They're swapping it for cheaper metals, and the reason is simple. Silver's price has just shot through the roof. It's become a massive cost. And this isn't just a solar panel story. It's a huge red flag that the world's silver supply is getting squeezed and squeezed hard.
Now, this squeeze on supply isn't just a headache for manufacturers. Oh no, it's sending absolute shockwaves through the financial markets. It's creating a wild ride of a market with some pretty extreme price swings. And these swings, they aren't just numbers on a screen. They are fundamentally changing who is investing in silver right now. This kind of volatility, well, it creates a serious split, a really deep divide right down the middle of the marketplace. You've basically got two very different camps. In one corner, you have your traditional long-term investors. They're looking for stability, for steady growth. These wild price swings, it makes them pretty nervous. But in the other corner, that exact same volatility is like a magnet for what the industry calls hot money. These are traders who jump in looking to make a fast buck on all the chaos. It's a real tug-of-war going on. And hey, just a quick pause here. If you like what we're doing and find these explainers helpful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. That way you won't miss out on any of our future updates. So with all this chaos in the market, what are the experts saying? Well, a lot of them believe this isn't just some temporary spike. They're starting to argue that we're seeing a fundamental shift, what they're calling a new reality for silver. And they're looking to history to figure out what happens next.
This quote from analyst Michael Oliver just nails it. He calls it a new regime. The forces driving it are huge demand, especially from China, a supply that's getting tighter and tighter. And the fact that the old price ceilings, the points where prices used to top out, they just seem to be crumbling. In other words, the old rulebook might be out the window.
And to really get this new reality idea, analysts are pointing to what happened with copper. Look at this timeline. For 40 years, the price of copper was pretty flat, very stable. Then, around 2006, boom, it just exploded higher. But here's the most important part. After that, it never went back down to those old low levels. It established a whole new price floor. So the big question on everyone's mind is silver about to do the exact same thing?
As you can probably guess, whenever analysts start thinking the basic rules of a market have changed, they start redoing their math. And some of the price forecasts for silver that are coming out now are, well, let's just say they are incredibly bold.
Get this, for example, one target that was put out there was for $144 an ounce. And what's really telling is when this came out, right after the US government officially added silver to its list of critical minerals, which is a huge signal of how important it is strategically.
And it's not just a few independent voices either. We're seeing major institutions like the big bullion bank UBS suggesting that silver could hit triple-digit levels. When the big banks start using that kind of language, people are paying very close attention. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, from solar panels to global markets. Let's step back for a second, pull it all together, and really nail down the key takeaways from this whole story. So if you remember anything, remember these four forces. First, massive industrial demand, with solar power leading the charge. Second, a very real and tightening global supply. Third, that fascinating battle in the market between the cautious long-term folks and the risk-taking hot money. And finally, you've got this growing consensus among experts that this isn't just a blip, it's a whole new era for silver.
And all of that leaves us with this one final massive question. Is all this volatility and chaos just a big warning sign to stay away? Or Are we actually watching the first pages being written in a brand new historic chapter for this precious metal? One where, just like copper did, it finds a whole new level and never looks back. That, right there, is the billion-dollar question.